Hello, everyone. It is just after 4 o'clock, so we are going to get started with our LSC meeting. I want to just go around the room and do a roll call. Do you want to start, Paul?
Good afternoon, Paul Kendrick, Community Representative.
Emery Matthews, Student Representative.
Sarah Lovingood, Teacher Representative.
London Robeson, Student Representative.
Eric Cromer, Teacher Representative.
Eric Steinler, Principal.
Laura Yepes, Parent Representative and Chair.
Leslie Gonzalez, Parent Rep.
Jeff Militante, Parent Rep.
Ashley Stapleton, Parent Rep.
All right, so we have quorum. We're going to start our meeting. Today is November 20th. We always start the meeting with public participation. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak to the LSC? You get 2 minutes. Unfortunately, we can't respond to any questions, but we always invite public participation. Anybody? Okay, seeing as there was no one here present, anyone online want to raise your hand and give us a few words?
Anybody? We are using a different method, so it's no longer Zoom, so it is a little bit different with Google Meets, but you are all viewers. If for some reason you do have an issue, just like raising your hands or alerting us, please chat me or send me an email. I'll check my email in just a moment, but I don't see any indication at this time.
All right, seeing as we don't have any public participation, and you will have an opportunity to participate at the end of the LSC meeting, we always end with that as well. We actually have one additional member of the LSC who just joined us. Veronica? Okay. Do you want to go on the microphone? And
Yes.
Yeah, sure, bro.
I was just kidding.
Veronica Hurd, non-teaching rep.
All right, great. So we want to review the minutes from the October LSC meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes? Great. Is there a motion on the floor to approve those minutes?
I move to approve those minutes.
Anyone second?
Second.
Seconded by Jeff. All those in favor of approving the October LSC minutes, please raise your hand or say aye. Anyone opposed? And seeing as no one is opposed, those minutes are approved unanimously. All right, we are going to move on to celebrations of Lincoln Park High School. Anybody want to express any celebrations?
Huge shout out to our athletics boosters. They had the casino night this Saturday. It's my understanding they may have raised up nearly over $40,000. They've done an exceptional job, especially anybody goes to our gym. Everything that's been done in our gym was because of athletic boosters, except for Ms. Veronica and her team for the floor. But the the wall painting, the new scoreboards, the lights on that's all athletic boosters. We don't have the school funds for those types of things, and they put copious amounts of dollars in. And actually, we're on, I think, a plan for potentially like a 3-year payout to kind of get it done to just make sure we have it now. And this event may have actually made some major headway in actually just paying for it all. So I just a huge shout out to them. And apparently I wasn't able to attend, but I did get to bid on a bunch of the fun stuff and win it, which was great. But I just appreciate all their efforts.
I went, this is my second year going, and it was a fun time. So if you guys get the opportunity to go, I highly suggest it. I highly recommend it.
Along the same lines of athletics, we have a new wrestling team, which I got to watch them practice the other day, and it was just, wrestling's definitely not my sport, but it was like very cool to see like dozens of students get to do something that like prior to this year we didn't offer. So shout out to everybody that made that happen.
I also wanted to give a shout out. We had 2 of our IBCP art students whose artwork was featured in, it is like currently up. They painted the inside of a window of a shop across the street. So a great opportunity for those students and a great connection for our school. So shouting out that. Yay.
Any other celebrations?
I have a bunch in the state of the school, so I'll hold off on the rest.
This is maybe a little bit more of an announcement, but celebrate. Thank you, Dr. Cy Miller and Dr. Theus for working with us on this, that we're having a Know Your Rights community defense workshop in the auditorium at 10 a.m. on Saturday. I work with Alderman Knudsen and Alderman Vasquez to bring people together from the community of knowing the best ways that we can protect people right now. So everyone's invited, so thank you for letting us be here on Saturday.
And that's happening this Saturday, right?
This Saturday, November 22nd, and learn about like business canvassing and rapid response and just all the things that we've been learning to protect each other.
I think that's also the last day of the Lincoln Park Farmers Market that takes place here in Lincoln Park parking lot here on our school grounds, which we're going to talk about very soon here as well, about plans for next year. Do we want to hear a report from Friends Of?
Hi. So at the Friends of meeting, there was the discussion of the technology room, and through the annual giving campaign, they are able to reach their goal and finish the technology room. They're gonna directly buy the items due to CPS purchasing restrictions, I guess, vendors and whatnot. There is the annual giving campaign that runs through the 30th of June. So if anybody is wanting to join the annual campaign, also there is some employers offer gift matching. So that's another opportunity that your donation can impact. They also have begun their gala preparations. Their theme this year is blue and gold. So that work is underway. There's graphics, letters, formal, save the dates that will be going out probably after Thanksgiving. So stay tuned for that. They are seeking sponsors at multiple levels to contribute. So if anybody's interested, you can reach out to me or Friends of Lincoln Park. They FOLPHS at Gmail. Save the date. If anybody's interested in going to the gala, it's the 25th of April. It's a lot of fun. There's drinks, there's mingling with other parents. It is cocktail, not really gala black tie, so no worries on getting all dressed up in your evening gown. It's pretty nice. Tickets will be online soon. I did hear they might have some early bird tickets, so if you're looking for that special, buy as soon as possible. There is, so in spirit wear, I do spirit wear as well, but we approximately got 45% of our inventory. 55% of our inventory, 45% of it's missing. So it's an issue, an ongoing issue I've had with the vendor. So we won't be working with that vendor any longer. But I'm waiting for a written solution, and they'll update the LSC when I get that. Any questions so far?
Missing as in not delivered and received? Not like it was delivered but missing.
So it just, no, it just wasn't received.
Okay.
No. And that's the issue we're having is we're missing about 45% of the products. And since it's been such a hassle with this vendor, new vendor that obviously we're not using anymore, but I just told them we don't want any of the missing stuff. Just stop. Like, we're not receiving anything else. This has become a problem, and we're no longer working with him. So I'm just waiting to hear back from him. But we'll hopefully going to get that in writing, and we'll move on from that. So the products we have, I guess we would owe him like $2,200. So I just, because we've had so many problems, not only with like receiving the products, the merchandise itself, I don't think it's to the quality I expected it to be. So I'm hopefully gonna just wipe it clean, like we don't owe him anything, and we're not receiving future products, and we're just gonna leave it at that. But I'd like that in writing, because it's a. But I told him not to mention it unless I get his stuff. There was a discussion of the parking lot because I requested on who they can make the checks out to. So there was topic of the parking lot, and they had questions. So I kind of just directed them to you and Zach. But you and Zach. So let's see. I didn't know I was supposed to tag you on there, so I sent them an email if they haven't sent it to them, just to like tag you on that. They started asking me farmer market questions too that I didn't want to get into it because I don't know. It's just what I hear. So we'll probably ask other questions there. And then finally, there's a ongoing efforts to strengthen the communications for their social media, their marquee messaging. Like there's links that they send out for all that. I guess they're changing their tools. So there will still be ongoing information sent out through them. I just don't know if things are going to start looking different on their end when they start sending out the new communications, when they switch over to, I don't know what tool they're using, but and overall, that's about it. They're committed to supporting Lincoln Park High School, and they're focused on addressing, operations, fundraising, and community engagement. So yeah, don't forget, save the date, April 25th.
I will say, I'll reiterate that companies that do a matching gift, check with your company that does that. It just doubles your contribution to Lincoln Park if you did contribute to the pledge drive. So highly encourage you to do that. And companies are willing to match that gift, so go out. We're going to go to Jeff now for
So I have met with my voice carried. So what we've been doing is I met with the valet company that had a contract with a company that we outsourced the parking lot to, that we're still waiting for a check from. But so I reached out to them, explained what we're trying to do, and we went back and forth as far as what their needs were. So what we came up with is we will give them 50 spots furthest east of the parking lot. And I'm trying to remember the west side, furthest away from the school. So what the agreement was is they will get the parking lot Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 a.m. Make whatever. They're usually gone by whatever, but they can have use of the parking lot during that time. And then Fridays at 5 p.m. they have it all the way till Monday at 6 a.m., 5 a.m., whatever we decide. So they have it all weekend. The issue that we're running into, and that's where the farmers market came in, is the farmers market likes to spread out and use the whole parking lot. And according to the use clause in the contract, they have the right to do that. And I only live a block away from here, so I'm at the farmers market almost every Saturday. They spread things out. I'm like, what we're looking at doing is seeing if they can either condense some of it into the 2/3 of the parking lot on Saturday, or we had Adam, who's the chief of staff for our alderman. He came here and we showed him what they can do with the mall now with the farmers market. And we're meeting with them on Tuesday, right, at 10:30 to discuss that. But what he said he would do is he would pay us $2,500 a month for that spot right there, and then he and he has it during those times. And when school's not in session, that's fine, like on the summers or something like that. couple of the caveats is when we do have some kind of event here, like, there's a basketball game, something like that, he would like to have as much notice as possible. I'm going to ask for 30, but I'm like, realistically, if he can have 2 weeks notice, then he knows that he can have extra people on hand, because he does have the ability to park at Steppenwolf, but that is quite a hike for him to go there, and it requires more people. So he's willing to do, as long as we give him advance notice, and he's willing to do that for us. The other thing he threw out is he said, if you want to go from 2,500 to 2,700, one of the things that he asked, and I think I emailed some of you about this already, is if he could have the ability to park the cars here between 12 and 2 on Thursdays and Fridays. And what he would do is he would have a person here. He's like anywhere from 5 to 10 cars at the most, because sometimes I won't even need it. But he would have a person here if they had to use our lot, and they would double park the cars. If anybody came in and said, I need to move my car, that valet guy is there the whole time with the keys to move the car. Now, I don't know if that's something feasible, but that was something they threw out for Thursdays and Fridays. But bottom line, we've got that contract. It's right. I mean, we have the agreement. I just need to know our next step as far as putting a contract in. I don't know if we go through CPS Real Estate, if we can do our own, but that's something that we definitely have to look into. The other thing that I want to try to do is we start talking about QR codes, because now I got 2/3 that's open. So we started looking at QR codes. There's a company out there that I gave to CPS Real Estate that they were going to call on. They said they were also calling Spot Hero and some other company, and I haven't heard anything back from them. But that is something that will definitely bring in extra revenue outside of the valley. Because if you think about it, people are parking there all the time. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, people go and park and they're sitting there trying to scan that QR code because they want to pay, but it doesn't work, so they just leave their cars there. So the thought process is the other 2/3 to be set up to the public that will pay for their parking. The valet company said that they would put up like a porch or something like that saying valets this way, paid parking is the other one. The other thing I want to do is we want to figure out who the towing company that can tow. Either they can print us new signs, or I can print out new signs. I'm in the printing business, but and just put them up there. Just kind of let people know if you're parked here and you haven't paid, you do risk on being towed. So that's kind of my thought process. But right now, starting in if we can get this contract executed by December 1st, that's my target date. We'll get 2,500 every month. Now, the other thing is we don't have a contract for October or November with anybody. He's been parking his cars here. So one of the things that he's like, I want to pay, the $2,150 is what he originally agreed on. I want to pay the $2,150. I just don't know where to pay it to. So what we decided is he's going to make a donation, or however we're going to do it, to the Friends of Lincoln Park for $4,300 to pay for that time, and then they have the funds. It's still being used for the school. So right now, the next step is I need to find out how we can get a contract, and then we need to work with the farmers market, because I want the farmers market. I love having it here. It's right down the street. So we're going to meet with them on Tuesday and try to come up with some alternative places that they can use, because that's a lot of money that we're giving up if they get it on Saturday. And if they decide to use the mall area, that opens up even more that we can actually capture revenue that we desperately need. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
The farmers market is free, and so because they're with the city, this is like a mutual partnership. So all the contracts with farmers markets are free, but there is an added benefit of moving them off of the parking lot into our mall. One, it's a nicer space. It's good for the park district, because then they're trying to open up Saturday programs. They can fund having a security guard and a custodian here on Saturdays to open up that space, so then they can have park district activities going on at the same time, and a bathroom for all the vendors that are putting all their stuff up. So there's like this partnership that works with it. But for us, if we have the QR codes, then people who are coming to go to the farmers market have a location to park, and we get funds So even though the farmers market's not paying us directly, it promotes funding coming in because people are using those QR codes. So that's the way in which we actually can get funding from the farmers market, because they're an event, it's bringing in people, and that it's so there is something financially beneficial for them moving to like our mall space, keeping maybe the school side, the east side, for like the vendor trucks to still be able to park for free and have a location. But then you have the 80 or so spots right in the middle that the QR codes would work. So it does work. Even when we had the Dunkin' Donuts here, that was kind of actually also a test. What does that look like to get a truck, a big truck to fit in our mall? And it worked nice and effective.
So I just want to say I'm really thankful for Jeff and for Zach spearheading this effort. I'm really thankful for the Alderman's office and kind of listening to us and what we want to do, and understand that this is really in support of our school. And I'm very hopeful that our meeting next week will convince the farmers market that this is a win-win. Moving to the mall would provide a more, let's just say, community feel to it, because you do have the connection to Oz Park. It gives us the opportunity to really generate some significant revenue on our parking lot. And they have the upside of using our facilities like the bathroom, and maybe doing some more family-friendly activities like maybe yoga in the park or some family-friendly things in Oz Park. So really, really hopeful. I think this is a win-win. It's just the convincing that needs to happen. So fingers crossed that all goes well next week. And thank you. Jeff, I think with the contract, I believe CPS emailed us back saying that they may be approved as a vendor in the procurement system. Yeah. If all goes well and they're an approved vendor, do we still need to draft a contract?
Yeah, we have to, because
Okay.
there's insurance, all that type of stuff. I don't want that like kind of stuff.
Right. So I think Zach said this week was really bad for him because he had so much going on, but that he may be able to draft a contract for us. And again, thankful that we have members on the LSC who do so much in support of the school and could potentially do us a solid and create that contract for us.
Yeah, facilities has a template contract that the CPS law will require them to use. So I don't, for his time and purpose.
Do you want to forward it over to
He's
Zach?
in touch with the person, like he's in touch with the facilities director who utilizes their contract. So we just need to say, hey, we've got our group. We're going to move forward with them. They've got their template, because that's been not pre-approved by law, but it fits all the law check boxes, and so it should be able to expedite approval because it's the CPS one. So I think as an LSC, it doesn't require a vote. This is something that we can move forward. Spending of the money requires LSC vote, but I think for awareness, presenting it here is really beneficial. They do appreciate all the work you've done. So I think let's start moving forward. Let's get this done as quickly as possible. What?
It's only been a year.
Yeah, so let's just get
Yeah,
going.
just so everybody knows, we have not received any revenue from the parking lot since last June. That's when the contract with Chicago Parking Solutions ended. So we have lost out significantly, and so I'm really thankful again that Red Valley is going to be donating whatever they can to Friends of to kind of make up some of that difference. And CPS is moving forward with trying to recoup any of those losses. So far, we haven't received any response. So I don't know. I just hope that we continue to pushing.
So I have a question about farmers market. We
Yeah.
don't get any revenue from that, but they get revenue from their vendors. How does that work?
It's a community engagement piece, right? So we want to be part of this community. We want to invite people to Lincoln Park High School and get to see who we are, right? It's just the arrangement is that they pay an initial fee, right, for permitting and to use the parking lot, but we have not ever really received any significant funds from the farmers market. I hope to think that that might change in the future as well, but that's a conversation. I think baby steps is important here. Moving from one location to the other is kind of a little bit of a changing up some mindsets. So
No. No.
Yeah, they take up a lot of room.
Yeah.
And on top of that, not only do they take up a lot of room, they park their cars in the lot. So I just feel like it's so spread out the way they set up.
They do it because they have
It's-
the space, so they're gonna spread out. But generally, how they get paid is, the vendor, they pay $500,000 to be a vendor for the whole season, and they pay them like $25, $50 every Saturday or whatever if they're there. But if we don't get any piece of it, but they're the ones bringing the people in. They're the ones that are monitoring. They should get paid. And to us, it's good for the community to see it. So, no, I agree. We should get something, but I understand it's not right.
But they don't. Their contract is not.
No, the contract that's on file is just for 2025. Yeah, and it ends on November.
Yeah, but they, like I said, they take up a lot of the parking lot, and then they still have their vendors take up some of the parking lot.
Well, when
And now customers are starting to complain that there's not enough parking because of the valet. Like there's just, I get like emails from the actual Elsa, the lady who runs it, and it's just interesting.
if you can forward those emails to us, that would be great.
Like the chair was doing But
That's the other thing too. I really want to take the opportunity to focus on the farmers markets, and we could set up a booth at the farmers market, and every Saturday we should have a club there, an athletic sports team there, some way to spirit wear
So you
sales
have
there.
to be there at like 6:30 in the morning,
Yes.
and you have to be set up by 6:45.
Yes,
And you can't unassemble your table till at 1:00.
that's right.
And there are also like, if you're late, there's a fee. If you start cleaning up, there's a fee, like a penalty fee. And that's something else the farmer market does, because Elsie's very adamant in her emails when she's saying you can't clean up at this hour. You have to wait till 1:00. You have to be set up at 6:45. Otherwise, you're going to get this fee. There's a lot of rules to the farmers market.
In the end, like
So-
those are it's our lot, it's
So I
our
just-
spaces. We'll
yeah,
be able to.
I just
like
feel
for
like
us to have, honestly,
They're
what we can
getting
do
more
is
money than
we have
their
two
contract.
tents outside the
Just wanted to
freshman
point that
door. Like we use the mall. We have 2 tents set up. Let friends up go there. Let somebody else go there. If we fill them, we fill them. If we don't, we don't. But it's an opportunity.
But the other,
We're not in their contract. Like this is our space, so we can set. If we want to have 5 tents, we could have 5 tents. We could do that tomorrow. I could do it today. You know what I mean? Like it's part of school property.
An opportunity for students to volunteer.
Oh, absolutely.
And earn some volunteer hours.
25 pounds.
Again, I understand where you're coming from, so forward me those emails, and I'm happy to kind of be the filter through that. But it is our property, and we want to work because I think that it's in the spirit of community. But there, it's who manages this farmers market that we need to work with.
that's not for
That's
you.
for the vendor.
That's for the vendors. And
Well,
that-
for
that-
us as well, but we don't. I honestly don't know if we could as well. If we're there late or if we leave early, because it's happened a few times where I've gotten told, "Oh, you can't leave at this time," and I'm like, "Well, the team has a cheer meet, so we have to go." Like, I told you this message, so then
I mean,
I assume it's very late.
for the vendors, I agree with what they're saying, because you start, like, my wife's in commercial real estate, just talking about people coming late, when early the store's not opening up. Completely
Everybody has to be on the
understand,
same page.
but for, like,
All right. So that's the conclusion of the parking lot update, and we can always talk offline on that.
Yeah. So can we really, just for the sake of kind of time and how things are going to work today, I want to make a motion to move up the budget, these subcommittees just ahead of the principal's report, just to ensure we have quorum for anything we need to vote on.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. I hope everyone's okay if we move up the committee reports, so that way Principal Steinmiller can go through the state of the school, which should take about 30 to 45 minutes, and so we don't lose quorum. So we're going to start committee reports with PPL.
Oh, motion. Yeah.
I think we could. I would say is parliamentary procedures, I move to table the principal's report, and then we would move to take it up.
Okay.
I move to table the principal's report.
Second.
All those in favor of tabling? Those opposed? Okay. But unanimously, so we're going to start with the PPLC and the PPC committee reports.
I think we both can, but like we met about a week and a half ago, and the focus was there were a few, but like the main one is we got a lot of information about the equal opportunity schools which initiative, which Ms. Quadri met with us about, and with the goal being, amongst other things, to collect some additional data in terms of future course offerings and just things that will be beneficial for our students. So we did get some information on that. That was, yeah, that was kind of the bulk of it. And like, I think we talked with Dr. Steinmiller today about that as well. And we're going to kind of work with Ms. Quadri and a couple other people on the EOS team to kind of see where we can bridge some gaps between PPLC and the information that they're being provided and working on as well. That's about it for us, yeah.
All right, so moving on to the budget committee. We do have a few motions here for vote, so we're going to go through this and get people to participate. So we met on Tuesday. And first, if we can bring up the budget tracker. Alrighty. So we always review the budget tracker, and this is the movement of funds from one bucket to another bucket, and this is what Ms. Lopez is in charge of. And normally we just do this as for transparency's sake. Only those budget transfers of over $10,000 require LSC approval. Most of the budget transfers were to support OST clubs, nurses office, science department, employee reimbursement of like $116.89. There was a budget transfer for snacks for after school programs, budget transfer for IB department, counseling department, and also to clear a negative. Those are all under $10,000. There were a few items, however, that, and also we have some pending items that lines 72 to 78. Those were all movement of rental income that we received from Facilitron. Essentially, Lincoln Park High School rents out parts of their school for outside groups like Chicago Sports and Social. So that money gets used to support things for the school. In this case, we have hardware and software for hallway digital displays, supply closet restock, science department, tech supplies, additional PE t-shirts. Apparently we did not order enough, and there are some students who need more PE shirts. We also have planners for the behavioral team and MTSS teams, and instructional materials for the language and lit department. So use of our rental income from Facilitron is going to be used in support of some of these school supplies. All of that is under the $10,000 threshold. So we're again just calling it to your attention and letting you guys know. The two items that do require LSC approval are line 62, which is a budget transfer of $11,010. It's going from a benefit pointer line. This is in support of the IB evaluations that took place here recently. The district is no longer paying for IB evaluations. Obviously, we want to conduct evaluations to see how successful our program is, and that comes at a cost of $11,010. We also have line 64. It's a $33,000 transfer, again coming from a benefit pointer line, and it's going to pay for overtime for our ESP and security. So benefit pointer line, I just want to call out, Dr. Steinmiller, if you want to clarify what that means, but I think it means that we have additional dollars from salaries that we're using to cover the cost of additional school functions like the IB evaluations and overtime and security.
Yeah, when you go through the hiring, basically everybody goes into a specific bucket for PE or for INS. So, and it's in those buckets, depending on, we obviously hire people that are the best fit, but in situations where, let's say, we budgeted for $90,000, but they're coming in at $75,000, then over time, the money that's not used drops, and you have then a positive of money that you can use. You can sweep that money up to then make purchases. So we've accumulated funds through benefit lines that weren't used. Our staff, for example, all had to submit for benefits. I think it was a couple weeks ago. So everybody submit their benefits. If they made adjustments to what they wanted, and let's say last year was $40,000 in benefits, and now it's $30,000 in benefits that they're using, that becomes available to us. So it just became available. I will say, and this is kind of the urgency we brought up in the subcommittee, the district is sweeping money very quickly right now, and we're seeing it, and they're freezing money. For example, we are not allowed to pay for any overnight or any travel for teachers to go to PD, or even the fees to go to PD anymore. That's all changed. So that shows that they're starting to lock down money. So we saw this money drop, and we have very specific needs. The district doesn't support paying for the evaluations anymore, and to keep our building open, security even today would utilize these funds that we need. So we're quickly moving them in. And again, we want to keep an eye out, because I do anticipate the district is really tightening up fund usage. Just like last year, they closed spending a month earlier than they normally do.
So, in light of the urgency, I'm going to put forth a motion to approve the benefit pointer line transfer of $11,010 to support the payment of the IB evaluations. Does anybody want to second that?
I'll second that.
All those in favor of the fund transfer, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any of those opposed, say no or raise your hand. No one is opposed, so that vote passes unanimously. I'm also going to put forth a motion to approve the benefit pointer line of $33,000 to pay for ESP overtime and security. Anyone want to second that motion?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Anyone opposed, say nay or raise your hand. All right, again, that vote passes unanimously. So thank you.
Every 5 years.
All right, so fundraisers. We have the winter formal dance coming up. It's going to take place at the House of Blues. The cost of the ticket the cost for admission is $60 per student. There is an e-pay link, so people can donate additional dollars to support other students who can't afford it, or maybe just put into a pool of funds for, a group of 10 people. The overall anticipated cost of the winter formal is going to be $55,000. The anticipated overall income received is $60,000. Again, anticipated. So we hope to walk away with $5,000. So I'm putting forth a motion to approve the winter formal dance.
I second that.
Leslie seconds. Do we want to discuss before we vote? All those in favor of the winter formal dance at $60 a ticket, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay or raise your hand. Okay. That vote passes unanimously. So thank you guys. Winter formal dance at the House of Blues. Student fees. So from time to time, teachers raise additional funds for activities. In this case, we have two activities. One is for Starved Rock student trip fee. Students are being asked to pay $10. This is to fund transportation to go from Lincoln Park High School to Starved Rock for a hiking trip. This is being done by Ms. Kong for the PE class. This is really great because additionally, initially this came in a really high ticket price. We've been able to negotiate the price down for transportation. However, we still need students to pitch in $10 to enjoy this lovely scenic field trip. We also have another request from the National Honor Society. They are asking students to pay $20 for materials for ceremony and service project. They're not sure how many students participate in the National Honor Society, but we definitely want to encourage people to do
But
it. So, really worthwhile cause, and it's just an additional cost of $20 for the students to participate.
I believe that includes their membership fee as well into the National Honor Society.
Glad we're doing that. So, I am forwarding a motion to approve the Starved Rock student fee of $10 per student. Anyone want to second that? Okay, Amy Martin seconds. Does anyone want to discuss before we vote? All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Say nay. Raise your hand. Nope. So that vote passes unanimously.
A quick shout out, since we said I should have done this earlier, but NHS, our students have been doing an awesome job with doing tutoring in the library. It's been great, and Ms. Kaler has done a great job in leading the NHS. So just I appreciate all of them for that work. I forgot to do that earlier. Thank you.
Great. No, that's perfect. I think, being that it's like who is a former LSC member, shout out to her. So I put forth a motion to approve the National Honor Society student fee of $20 per student. Does anyone want to second that?
I'll second that.
Leslie seconds. Any discussion on that? All right. So all those in favor say aye or raise your hand. All those opposed say nay or raise your hand. That vote passes unanimously. Okay, moving on. So annual student fee collection. That's a request of $450 per student. To date, through the end of October, we have collected a total of $269,400. I think this is more than we're pacing ahead of last year, in other words. So yay to us on our collection.
This doesn't include an extra about 30,000 in the last 2 weeks.
Good push. Good push. And that's thanks to the email and communication that's been going on. We also suggested to add a little note of it in the newsletter, maybe where we advise parents to participate or sign up for asking for notifications. Put a little bit of, hey, thank you, Ms. Because we really are, while we understand that especially right now things are difficult and everyone's looking at their bottom line, we still want to raise some additional funds for the school. Our goal is to get to 50% of overall collections, roughly about $500,000. We are now facing 54% of that goal. So let's keep pushing and hopefully we can get some more money for LPHS. Rentals. So again, going over the Facilitron rental, we currently have in the bank roughly $17,000, of which we have just transferred $10,806 to pay for what we talked about initially on student costs or department costs for IB and stuff like that. So that account is going to go down, but we have that money there to pay for these things. So that's what we should be doing. We're making the money, but we're spending the money in support of the school. Also, we have $326 remaining in our cell phone tower bank. We have $163 from the vending machines and parking lot. It's still a big whopping zero, but we're hoping to be able to get money from the parking lot very soon as we can get the contract for December signed. We do have monies that we received for the October and November rental, which is being donated to the Friends of. So you guys can use that for part of whatever we're doing in Friends of. One last thing too, transportation to date. Our transportation costs are super low again this year, or not again this year. Unlike previous years, we are making a concerted effort to minimize the school expenditures on transportation. To date, we've spent $11,612. $2,800 was against performing arts / band, and roughly $8,800 for athletics, in particular football. So again, great work on. We want to support transportation, but it just comes at a cost. So we're doing the best that we can with our dollars. Last thing I want to point out are some journal entries, and that is $4,500 that's going to from the athletic team account to the general athletic fund. So this is really interesting. Ms. Lopez is awesome. She found $4,500 from random accounts, one coming from the golf club, I think it was like $2,500. There's roughly some change from volleyball and from other teams. Well, we're pulling that all together and we're putting it to the athletic fund. So that's $4,500 towards the athletic fund. We're going to do the same for clubs. Ms. Lopez is going to continue doing her forensic accounting on that, and maybe we'll do some additional funds for OST there. We do have a transfer of $15,108 going from GoFan ticketing to the athletic fund as well. And this is also super cool. So again, thanks to applauding everybody on the homecoming ticket sales, we generated close to $79,000, of which we only spent 57, 617, 618. So that leaves us with a profit of just over $21,000. So, yay! That's additional income for us. So, leaving it on a high note, that was the budget report.
And this was noted in the subcommittee too. We did a review with the athletic director on just those funds. We have actually used funds from fees and different things for these specific sports. So actually, like the $20 or the $500 we've actually spent using fees, except for golf. So we are reaching out to the golf coach because that had a higher number, just to make sure that those funds are used appropriately. That's something that came out from the subcommittee, and Mr. Kramer brought that point up. But the rest of the funds we have used school fees to offset. So actually, it's good to pull it. So it'll just be the one that we're holding off on until we talk to the coach.
Moving on to extracurriculars. You want to give an update?
I wanted to share a couple of other celebrations that may not have been mentioned. Our math club had an amazing performance at an event last Saturday where they scored first place in algebra, algebra 2, and geometry. So pretty impressive, right? Our chess team, our chess club, I should say, also had a couple of pretty impressive early competitions. So let me just try and read my notes here. They came in at first place when we hosted the CPS All-Star Chess Tournament here at LP last month. And then there was the Prep Bowl, which was an event that hosted the best 16 chess teams across Chicago, private and public. And they came in at 7th place overall. So very impressive. Our JROTC battalion had a sports competition last Saturday. There were 42 teams, and we placed 2nd overall, which is pretty amazing. And there were, yeah.
And that's with military academies and.
Yeah, 42 schools, 2nd place, a lot of other accolades individually, which I don't have time to get into. So just some really impressive work done by our students in terms of extracurriculars. So in terms of athletics, so Booster Casino Night was mentioned. We don't have the net proceeds or profit from that, but it was a great event. I know I and others had a lot of fun. We had a bunch of coaches that bartended the event, and we'll report on the profits, but at least double the tickets sold from last year. So it was really a great event. And that money will go into the general booster fund. Winter tryouts are happening right now for our teams. So it's for all of our teams. So we have one team left, and that is boys swimming. Everything else is pretty much wrapped up at this point. So we are just busy making sure we're in 100% compliance, scheduling team meetings, parent meetings, making sure we have a booster rep for every team, etc. So ordering uniforms that we need. So all of that is happening right now. Almost every team is doing some form of fundraising because, as we all know, there's no money to support the teams otherwise. So that is all happening as we speak. Someone mentioned wrestling. We're super excited about a new wrestling team. We had a lot of students come out. I think the roster is going to be about 20 boys and around 10 girls. And we have a parent meeting tonight, so hopefully we'll find a booster rep for that team as well. And then lastly, we are we'll be hosting, obviously, all the boys and girls basketball games, so please come out and help us support our teams. We'll be posting all of those schedules next week on the website and around the school and Roar, etc. So we will be selling tickets for all of those home games. Any questions on sports or athletics?
Can I two quick mentions? One is Ms. Morris was very nice enough to meet with the PPLC last week. So first of all, thank you for your time on that. And one thing I meant to mention in celebrations I forgot was we had a girls tennis player qualify for state for the first time in about 15, 17 years. Gia Champlin, she won a match at state as well. So kudos to her. She's a great student and a great athlete, so couldn't be happier for her.
Yes, I think she was also like one of the big winners in the push-up contest for JROTC. She's everywhere. So, but thank you. That reminds me, we have 2 female golfers who are getting scholarships to go play golf in college. So when we return from break, we will have the ceremony for them, and we'll feature that in the communications as well. So yeah, some awesome stuff. In terms of clubs, just very, very quickly, as I said in the last meeting in October, I will be able to do more of a proper summary of where we're at in terms of numbers and attendance at the December meeting. Right now, we're really in the mode of ensuring attendance is being taken. I'm talking to some clubs that have low attendance to make sure that those are sustainable and viable going forward. We've merged a couple of clubs that had similar missions. So more on that a little bit more formally next month. But are there any questions about clubs? Okay. All right. I think that's all I have. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Emery Matthews, a student representative along with London, and we've had a very successful year of Student Voice Committee so far. We have a small group of students, but we're kind of like thinking of ways to gain more engagement. Currently, we're working on our social medias online, so on TikTok and Instagram, we're formulating ideas such as like doing interviews for different sports teams or like just students in general so people can get an idea of student life. London, do you have something?
Also, we've had about 4 meetings, and I'm in contact with a student from the school who, like, some of his school TikToks went viral, and we're trying to get engagement in the communities.
We have actually like a little event tomorrow. I don't know if how many people know about it, but we're gonna have students come dressed up in like different fall colors. So our underclassmen will be yellow and orange, and upperclassmen will come in brown and red to kind of like reflect the changing seasons. Like, you know, when the leaves are falling, they go from orange, yellow, then to brown and red to kind of like symbolize. Yeah, to show we're thankful for the fall season and just proud of everyone for making it this far and pushing in the school year. Miss Lovingood, who's our sponsor?
It's all them. They're doing great. I'd take attendance. It's all them.
We're also currently planning a Google form to send out to all AP teachers. And in this Google form, it asks questions about like the student's ability to afford AP exams. because we wanted to see if there's something that we can do like fundraise to help students pay for those, because we found out that they are $90 each this year. So we would like to ask if we could send out this Google form to each AP teacher and request that they have their students fill it out. It's a very short form. It shouldn't take more than 3 minutes.
So, if
Yeah, we'll just work.
She took
I do not have the data right offhand, but we can talk about that in the next meeting. Yes.
Okay, that's all.
All right, well, thank you very much for that. Facilities.
So during the meeting, we discussed about the custodial manager. Will be receiving a new custodial manager in the near future. There are still, we'll say, days and times where there is understaffed days, opportunities here. But working through it, there are deep cleaning days, just resurfacing parking lot that'll be pushed to the summer. Any of the work that's in progress, whether it's installation, whiteboards, installing, those types of things are going as scheduled. Those will be installed on breaks and coordinated with the teachers. As far as the pests, there's no sightings since August, November. So keeping targets and making sure that the buildings are clear of the pests. And then another item that was discussed is clearing graffiti that has been placed on various walls. So that is in the progress of being cleared off. And additional things that are in progress, but the full staff is working towards getting things taken care of, doing their due diligence, and doing the best they can to keep it clean, keep the school clean, and everything's stocked. Did I miss anything?
You good?
Okay.
The parking lot resurfacing in the summer, when that comes up, perhaps we can kind of work with the valet company to kind of rotate where it happens so we don't lose out on any potential revenue.
It's supposed to take a full week, so it'll need to be coordinated fully. Maybe it's a Monday through Friday. I'm not sure what the week is. It's 7 days, 5 days for curing. But the thought was, or the hope was to do it next week during Thanksgiving, but they're actually shutting down their plants. And it would be a premium if we tried to get some asphalt during those times. So pushing into the summer makes the most sense because it will not impact the utilization of the parking lot for different school events and for parking for staff and so forth. Plants aren't open yet. It's in March, so plants don't open back up until April, probably like April 1. There might be some that are open during that time, again, working construction, so aware of these dates. We didn't necessarily talk about this during the meeting, but there's a premium that comes with getting it off season. And if we can just wait until a time where it works for all the parties that be, it'll save a few dollars too. So that part I'm not sure about the conversations, because they talked through the company to say, hey, we're not able to get it next week. So I'm assuming we'll be put on the schedule for the first. Right now we're thinking like as soon as school gets out, try to knock it out immediately. So, I mean, that was a note that I did mention, that we make sure that we're on the calendar ASAP, because this school and all the other K through 12 entities across the Chicagoland area are also going to want similar dates. So just making sure we do our due diligence to stay top of the line.
They said they might be able to do that, but we'll have to, as we get closer to that, talk about kind of what would go on. But again, I don't put it down, so I don't really know the process. We just know there's going to be a lot of, it needs to happen. It's,
Absolutely. Because if you do multiple, that'll be multiple.
For the fundraiser.
So we have a monthly fundraising sync kind of at a high level where the various groups, FOL, boosters, BOP, choir, et cetera, come together and just collaborate and share strategies around fundraising and updates. So the next one will be, it's the first Monday of every month. The next one will be December 1st. And so we meet pretty regularly, as I said, every month. I would say just the FOL annual campaign, which has already been discussed, is really the major fundraiser for the school at the moment. And then we talked about boosters for the athletic side. Band and orchestra is in the middle of a Double Good Popcorn fundraiser. I don't have a ton of specifics, but that is going on as well. And that's really it. I mean, there are individual clubs possibly looking to fundraise in the new year, but I don't have anything specific regarding that right now. So happy to answer any other questions. Thanks.
All right. Willing to jump in. So we met, Amy and I met with Ms. Theus last week, and here's just like a very brief summary of the conversation. The attendance trends for the month of October, as well as like specifically weeks 11 and 12, especially compared against recent school years, shows like we're at mid to high 80% attendance. That's both unexcused and excused attendances, so without it being sorted out that way. But this school year being slightly higher than previous years, so that's a great sign. Week by week data shows some small fluctuations, but no like huge and major shifts, so it's pretty consistent for this time of year. Tardy and detention data does indicate a recent spike with 448 detentions issued on November 10th. It's unclear whether the tardiness trends are improving. We are looking at data for this school year, and we won't be able to have comparative data until we get into next school year, or perhaps looking at the two semesters against each other. The detention follow through remains to be like kind of limited, and I want to qualify that. There are consequences that exist in terms of like removing of student privileges with off-campus lunch and like events, but aside from that, there's a limitation in like whether like holding students accountable for making up detentions after they've lost those privileges. It's the CPS student code of conduct doesn't have like an outline of like further penalties to take. So there are some limitations around that. In terms of like teacher records and submission, the trend is that teacher enforcement of like specifically first period tardies is generally strong. But like overall, like attendance submission and like reports is still like fairly manual. So it takes a lot of like human power and it's time consuming. There's also still a small number of teachers that are continuing to affect school-wide trends of like otherwise very strong attendance submission. So putting that out there, there was a recent, the first meeting of the LPHS Attendance PLC at the end of October. It was a small meeting, but they did review policy clarity. They noted different teacher workload concerns, and they have goals of like looking at the policy's effectiveness and clarity over time. It was one meeting, so they haven't gotten like a huge amount of work done, but there's like clear goals there. In terms of discussion of automated communication tools, there's some excitement around the potential for, I think this is an app, Talking Points. Okay, so there's an app that's being explored right now. If parents want to have like very consistent data and like instantaneous data, they have to like do the sign up in Aspen for things, which we've had like much greater like a greater number of parents signing up for those things, in part due to efforts at Quick Start and then the videos made by Ms. Theus. But this would be a way for parents and families, they don't have to opt into this system. They would actually have to opt out of the system. So then they could get like more live data like texted to them or packaged in a way that makes a lot of sense. That does have a cost associated with it. That option is being explored because it would be about $3 a student, which is about $7,000-ish. I don't know if I mathed that correctly, but 7,000 was the number that I wrote down. And then we're also working towards, like, there's a consistent goal of building out a functional, personalized weekly email update, both with attendance data and grade data and all sorts of interactivity. That's pending a couple of updates, including a meeting with assistant principals at Taft to build our system based on theirs. There is a meeting set up for after Thanksgiving break between Ms. Theus and one of the APs from Taft. So hopeful that we can get that built out and at least identify like what it is that we need in terms of people power, technology power, so that we can advocate for that some more. In terms of recommendations, some immediate next steps would include like continuing. There was one. It was very basic, like an email update with like the attendance rate sent out to some freshman families. I think a whole bunch of freshman families, and these sorts of reports, as a parent, I found to be very helpful, especially because as we explored in our meeting, Aspen does not easily calculate the attendance rates for students. They're sitting there trying to figure out their attendance rates, or they have to wait for these emails. So we would love to see, even if it's just very basic, just like text only weekly attendance updates, especially leading up to larger events where like we have those attendance rates requirements. And then like following up with that Taft meeting so that we have ideas for how to move forward there. In terms of the policy, also advising that if revision is taking place, that they're gathering stakeholder input from teachers and from students. There's an invitation to attend the Student Voice Committee to like talk directly with students around that point, just to determine where there may need to be revisions and then developing timelines for that. And that is a summary of everything, I think. Amy, do you have anything to add there? Questions, clarifications? No. Yeah. 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 Well, especially because when it I'm so sorry, I forgot the date of the dance. Okay, so like literally after break, there's 3 weeks of school, and then 2 weeks of school when we come back from winter break. So that's not a lot of time to build out to build up an average if your average percent is real low. So updated emails, which and I want to note this too. The updated emails can't all come from one administrator. Like it's going to have to be a concerted effort from all administrators due to limitations within mail merges. So it has to be all hands on deck for that one.
Yes, we haven't had a chance to meet. I've been really slammed, and I would defer if someone else wants to set up the next meeting. Would be happy to kind of pass it on that, but report at this time. If there are any volunteers.
Principal evaluation. We are going to be meeting with Dr. Steinmiller after the holiday to kind of discuss. We took the rubric that exists for principals and then some of the other things that we were hoping to see and kind of merge them together because we felt that they kind of fit in the framework that already exists for principal evaluation, but we haven't had a chance to meet with Dr. Steinmiller to discuss it. We kind of Amy and I put together kind of an outline of all of the activities that will have to happen. We have done that before the last meeting, so that will happen in the second quarter, I think, of next year. That's it.
I move to take from the table the principal's report and state of the school. Mm-hmm.
All those in favor?
To take the report from the table. Yep. All right. Well, and thank you, I think, for prioritizing the needs of our school and the votes that needed to take place. I truly appreciate that. I'm going to jump into this. This is the state of the school. This is happens at every school across Chicago Public Schools. There are set criteria of some of the things for every school. We kind of go through the district-wide things. I'm going to jump to one spot for a specific reason. The three assistant principals again are supporting this process, are leading some of this work. Ms. Quadri is out sick. I told her to go home. Ms. Stonewall has daycare ending in about 3 minutes. So what I'm going to do is do a brief introduction, but I'm going to quickly go to the topic that I want to make sure that she's able to just talk on. There are like 60 slides. So the intent of this is to do an overall presentation. If there are any clarifying questions, such as what does FOT mean or SOT, those would be kind of questions entertained just to make sense of what is being presented. But any probing questions or questions beyond that, please wait to the very end. I can easily go back to that slide and discuss it further. But really, so we're not here till 9 o'clock at night. So I think for everybody's interest, you've got it. All right. So again, the purpose of this on the slide that is currently up there is CPS's vision, mission, strategic plan. There's important information that I'm going to share out about the district, our school's progress, priorities, and collective efforts, and again, how people can get involved. I'm going to jump to a very specific slide and make more sense of this in the end. But the one I want to jump to, because this is the work that Ms. Stonewall has been really helped making some shifts this year, is about our let me get out of slide mode, is our freshmen on track. And so you're going to see a variety of other data. So please just bear with me for just a moment. Freshmen on track. So let me share this slide. I think it's up now. Put it in slideshow mode. So these are different data points from last year to this year. This is our freshmen on track. Freshmen on track means our students, if they are on track, if they're off track, they have failed 2 semester classes. It could be English in the fall, math in the spring. They are officially what's called off track. And that means they have, from a data perspective, 20% chance of graduating high school. And it's shown year after year for the last, honestly, 20 plus years. And actually, the studies have shifted where it's not just math, science, it's PE. It's any class. So all classes are important. You see, we have made a slight dip from 85 to 82 for a variety of reasons for individual students and different groups that come in each year. They come in different skills, different experiences. So it's not always apples to apples, but we're also talking about like where students are at and seeing where they're at. Again, there are some real needs with students with IEPs. There are some real needs with our Black and African American students. When I get back into the data, you'll see some themes, and that's what I really want you to think and pay attention to, is as you see some themes in some of our subgroups and the actions that we're taking to resolve that. I know the question that I would ask would be, hey, what are you doing right now? And so to answer that question, so you don't have to ask, because I'm not going to answer it. Actually, I want Ms. Stonewall to be able to kind of share some of the work that's going on. A couple of points, but I know she does have to leave, so that's why I jumped to freshman on track, because I want her to share that work. So Ms. Stonewall, if you would mind just sharing briefly that work.
So a couple of the things that are being done for freshmen on track currently, we have some like tier 1 interventions that are happening. So that's like tutoring. So tutoring that's being offered by our teachers, but also peer tutoring that's being offered by NHS and things like that. We also have purchased 200 IXL accounts that are being distributed by our interventionists to students that need additional support. We are also targeting 9th period students who can't go to tutoring during 9th period, so prioritizing them to also have IXL accounts for support. We are also doing family engagement nights once a quarter. So we did one a couple of weeks ago. We have one planned for the first week of February, where we're bringing in parents who may or may not have students that are off track, to be able to partner with them of saying like, hey, here's a bag report that showcases your students' behavior, attendance, and grades. Looking at this, what can we do at home to support your student with either getting on track or staying on track? And what supports do you need from the school? And so then we look at what they requested from the school and try to partner with their student and like connecting them with the resources that they requested. We'll also follow up in February with, hey, these were the things that were committed to, in general by your family to support your student. This is how they did first semester. What can we do for the rest of second semester to get them to the finish line? So that is kind of like some tier 1 things. We also have like some mentoring clubs, groups happening, hosted by our deans. So one by Dean Shotwell for SWAG, and then another one by Dean Johnson for BOSS. Really leveraging the staff that we have in this building to bring up our students who need that SEL support, because a lot of the students who are off track, well, their SEL needs are contributing to them being on track because it's showing up in their classroom and in their behaviors. An additional thing that we're doing are check-in meetings with students that are off track. So currently we have about 47 students that are off track. And so students are meeting with their counselors following progress grades. So it's happening right now. They're partnering with those students. They meet with them one-on-one to create action plans. Any student that has more than 4 Fs are meeting with administration, because then it's kind of more extreme. You're failing 5 to 7 classes. So you're going to have a meeting with administration to discuss what's going on. Why is this happening? What do you need? And what do we need from you? So that is happening there. And then the last thing that I would like to highlight is our 9th grade interventionist. She meets with a cohort of students that were chosen based off their 8th grade data. So looking at the flag that they had when they came in, such as like early or urgent intervention, looking at also their STAR 360 data. And so those students were also chosen to receive like push in and pull out services to really target some of those like foundational skills that we're missing. So she has a consistent schedule of meeting with those students regularly to really improve those grades. She also has a drop-in session on Friday for any student that may need additional support. And so those are kind of the things that we are doing to target our 9th grade on track. And we're seeing some success because we have over 90% of our students on track currently. So we're trying to get, to 100, but we're seeing some growth. And so trying to take that all the way to the end of this semester and all the way to the end of the school year. Those are some hear things that we're doing so far.
Thank you. So, and this will be kind of the process. Again, this is something that she is leading. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to ask
Yeah.
a question. You mentioned you had like a family engagement thing. Was there good turnout for that?
Yeah, it actually was. We had about 40 families, so we filled the entire library with families. Some of them brought their students out, and they found it really helpful to say like, hey, you know, I appreciate just like the outreach. And so it was really beneficial, and we're hoping for an even bigger turnout quarter 3.
So as we focus on, because as we look at the data here too, what we're continuing to focus on, thank you for staying, and hopefully they don't yell at you too much. But we do have some very targeted areas in which we're trying to provide supports, and how do we think in advance, and how we build partnerships in a positive way. Yeah, the event of welcoming the families was really awesome. And I really appreciate the work of again, Ms. Stonewall and leading this and collaborating with our teachers and everybody else to do it. I'm going to backtrack now, but I just wanted to make sure that she could get in and respect and her. So let me get out of this really quickly. This will make more sense, like some of the data and some of the patterns that you're going to see within this overall presentation. Again, are thematic. At some points, I'll try to stand up and maybe point some things out to the best of my ability. But again, something that we're focusing on as a school district are supporting our families, especially as you hear a lot of the things that are going on with the presence of federal agents and different things. And there's some things we'll talk about within this. As a school and as a district, we're also focusing on making sure that every school, every student, every school, every community, students are getting resources, and that's a pattern theme. And again, there's a lot going on in the district, and these are some of the you can tell some of the slides that are specifically CPS, but I believe in these things too, of supporting all of our kids through this process. These are resources as it pertains to supporting families, especially for immigration needs as things are going on. This is some data points. I just want to make sure it was public in this slide so that people can access that as they need it, but also it's aligned with the district support. Number one, we're going to go over the CPS's vision, mission, and strategic plan. I'll be very honest about some things that just are concerned about with consistency in the district as we go through it. Continuous improvement in our plans and family and community partnerships, and just some additional data that I want to go through that I think is important for us to go through. This is our mission and vision. I'm not going to read it to you. It's consistent as we focus on being an IB school. What you see next are the 4 major philosophical shifts of the district. There is an intent to maintain some consistency even though we are in transition. My concern is you bring somebody new in, do they redirect us in a different direction? And I don't know that. I'm being here in the past where there's been several CEOs come in, that vision has shifted and changed. That doesn't matter. We're going to maintain consistency as a school and move forward. But these things they're consistent with what I believe in and as a school. We're going to support every student at our school, our community. So jumping through some of the other slides as we continue, school data is going to be more, and they've been working on this for about 3+ years, more public facing. And it's things that we've been trying to prepare our team and our school for. What I mean public facing is everything. Outcome metrics, the equity information, even their assessment of curriculum at a school. And so these are things that we're going to focus on. And that's where you see a lot of that work even within our teams of we're working with our unit plans, building consistency with that as well. These are all public facing. There is a QR code. You can actually see our school profile. It has a ton of data and more is coming. We anticipated a November rollout of a few things, but obviously with not having a full-time CEO or CEDO, then that's kind of where we are at. Moving forward, again, our school page looks like this. Again, it has our school overview, school information, more information will be added. So as an LSC, I think this is really important because at any point you want to see what is going on, like the live data. Some of this is filtered directly from Aspen. So when I feel it's very important to know how many school students are in our building on almost on a daily basis. Just often people ask, how big is your school? I'm 2,100 and whatever. It's 2,119, I believe, as of today. Right? Today. And so this also does the same thing. So if it shifts or changes, you see our actual numbers, demographics, everything else. It's a really cool resource because it does have the school overview, the district investment and priorities, and then the components that you can click on and actually go further into. And so a lot of things, if you ask for data, this is the place to go. This is the district website. So we have our Lincoln Park our own one that we manage. This is the district facing. It has a lot of information. So as an LSC, I think it's important for you to be able to access and review it. You ask about 5 essentials, it'll give you links to it. They're supposed to sync with the 2025. That's where we were talking. It still had like 2024 on. I was like, we don't have enough, but they are supposed to sync with this. CIWP, we are in year 3 of our previous CIWP. Our priorities, we only needed 2. We focused on 3: curriculum instruction, post-secondary, connects to well-being. The items you see around this apple of instructional core are the 5 areas that the school can focus on. We chose 3 just because I believe post-secondary is so important. I wanted to highlight and elevate it. That doesn't mean we have to have 3 next year. It doesn't have to be these 3 or 2 going into next year. We will start organizing a primary team of about 8 people to be the core of our CIWP team for our new process. We're going to have that complete about who that core group is before the end of the semester. That does not mean people can't be involved. We will have subcommittees that roll off of it that anybody can be a part of, so that anybody who wants to be invested in certain areas, they can. But we still need it. We're expected to have a max of 8 people being our core. I believe it's important, and I believe this school and team does too, that as many people who want to be involved should be able to. Those will be through subcommittees as we start prioritizing. There is yet to be a process that has not been communicated. I would expect it to be the same areas of focus. But again, if we hire a new CEO tomorrow and they say this is not what they want to do, then things change. And even today, we met with the Chief Education Officer, really excited about the work that he can bring to the table. He's only going to be here for the remainder of the year because he's taken a position as superintendent in Elgin. But at least he understands the consistency here, and I believe that he will push to have this level of consistency continue to roll out. So I appreciate the work of Cito Carmano in that work. So I would have a member from the LSC, a member from like the PPLC, ILT, like 2 assistant principals. So we're starting to max, and we want a student to be a part of it. So that would be our core group. So that at least this was a conversation that I was having earlier with our PPLC leads. You know, how do we sync more of this work? So I think it's important that we have some PPLC, ILT, coordinator, parent, even community, student, and administrators. Thanks for the clarifying question. All right, but we'll share more about other things coming into it. These are our 3 priorities. You have access to go into the actual report itself. Let me go back up. The bottom left corner of it, LSC members, if you want to look into our CIWP and the progress monitoring, you can actually go into it and see where we're at. It should have our quarterly updates and check-ins that we do with the district in this, as well as it is updated. That's not necessarily the intent and purpose of this meeting, because that is active and live right now. The state of the school is data from last year and where we were last year. Again, these are our 3 priorities. I see these shifting drastically. An example of a shift that I kind of see is already starting to make, and some of the slides are different from when I've emailed everybody. For example, curriculum and instruction, as we engage with the district has a different flow of how we should be engaging with curriculum instruction to establish specific student outcomes, teacher practice outcomes, and leader practice outcomes. So those are some of the shifts the district has made. So we are aligning our CIWP with that. And you can see these are some of the action items. I put it in, I'll reshare this document with you as it's been updated, because this is the most up-to-date aligned with the district's work. So that's why you see some of the blank. Yeah, sorry about that. But I will reshare this live version of it. We had some good conversations about how can we make sure I'm presenting and you're able to engage with the most accurate, up-to-date data. Yeah, absolutely. Part 3, family engagement. Again, district-wide, there are post-secondary planning and initiatives really focusing on like individualized scope and sequence of instruction. We're doing this as a school, making some shifts towards that. We don't necessarily do a whole lot of dual enrollment. These are some of the opportunities. Emails do go out to students, so they're aware of the opportunity to partner with city colleges for that as an additional early college career credential. Again, we as a school, we focus on Lion Pride, one school, one community. We partner with our elementary schools. We have our LSC Friends of Athletic Boosters. We have the fundraising sync. So we have a lot of community coming together in really powerful ways to change our school in ways that we can't do independently. Resources for, oops, that went fast. Resources again for families, any family in need of immigration support, This is in here again, and just want to keep reiterating that from a school level. This is our Illinois report card. It is commendable. One of the things we want to keep focusing on is our graduation rate and our other data. Again, this is just so you know, this is what our status is with the state, which is good. We'll continue to move forward with that. This is the stuff I really want to make sure we have time to get into because I can explain. And if you have questions about what something means, I think that's really important. So this is the state of the school report. This is our data. The purpose of this is so you understand some of the past metrics in the last 2 years, a lot of things that we're focusing on intentionally, understand like how we are focusing on our priority groups. Just so you know, the district has been, I don't really care how I phrase it really, I probably should just be blunt, as initiatives like diversity, equity, and inclusion have been lambasted by the nationally and told not to happen at certain districts, our district has said no, which I really appreciate. Because if we have to be able to focus on the success of all students, we have to pay attention to subgroups, and I believe in that firmly. That's the only way you support all students in all schools, in all communities, is we have to pay attention and support it. So in the district, there's an initiative, the Black Student Support Initiative within the district. The federal government has said that's inappropriate because of the focus and the title. I disagree with that. I think you must support all students and be intentional about how we're doing so. And you're going to see that in my presentation as well. I firmly believe in that work. So let's jump into it. Here are some of the just glossary of terms. Freshmen on track we already discussed and the impact of it. Chronic absenteeism, that's a percentage of students missing 10% or more of their enrolled days. That's regardless of whether it's excused or not. So again, if a student is out for mental health reasons for a quarter of the semester, they are chronically absent. The 4-year graduation rate, those are students who graduate within 4 years, pretty simple. Early in college career credentials, that could be IB, advanced placement, JROTC, job certification, dual language. So there's a lot of opportunities for early college career credentials. College enrollment, as you may guess, you enroll. ACT, work proficiency rates. Again, that's the students who are demonstrating grade level expectations from a more national level. EL progress to proficiency, that's the percentage of our English language learners who have met growth targets for a year to reach proficiency in 5 years. Again, we only have students for 4, but it's at least making progress towards that. ED is economically disadvantaged. IEP are students with individual education plans, and EL are English language learners. So when I use it, I want to kind of put those glossary there because I will use those words, and so you understand, and also some of the slides, what that means. So 9th grade on track, we've already, oh, yes, yeah. No problem, no problem. And these are kind of questions I think for clarifying if you need throughout it, even if you forget, or if a new one pops up, which is inevitable. Cool. We already went through freshmen on track. Again, we're making some real shifts this year to address and support our freshmen coming in. Chronic absenteeism. This slide looks weird, and you're going to think it's weird because it looks like we're going down. Well, going down is a good thing. So the higher the percentage, the worse we are off in that area. So that means our chronic absenteeism was 59%. We have dropped down to 56%. You can see across the board some of the groups that stand out for trends that have the highest level of chronic absenteeism. Our students who have IEPs, our Black and African American student population of students, and our economically disadvantaged students. Those are kind of our 3 top groups. And so we have been very intentional about working on this. This is something that fits in Ms. Theus's wheelhouse of the work that she's doing. I know we did an attendance report, but I still would like Ms. Theus just to kind of share out just some key points of how some of that work may impact chronic absenteeism.
Hello, thank you, Dr. Steinmiller. Ms. Levin did present it earlier, so I won't restate what she already presented with the attendance subcommittee. But the work that the attendance team is doing is having a direct impact on our students, their overall attendance. As we see from the metrics, it went down from, I definitely can't see those numbers, but I think 59 to 56%, which is a 3% improvement. And so that's really, really good for the students that are deemed chronically absent. And as Dr. Steinmiller stated, that does not take into effect the students who are unexcused. It just, excused, you're just out of the building. So that is still an improvement from the previous year, like I said, which is 59%. So three things that we are doing, well, two things we're doing and one thing that's on deck to be done. Teachers are notifying parents earlier about student absences. That's still an area of growth for us, but it's happening more. So when teachers are letting families know your students are not here, the parents can then, partner with us and make sure their students are in class. And so that is happening more consistently. Second thing is the biweekly emails out to families with the attendance metrics. One limitation that I did see after I started sending them, the way we send them, they're personalized with YAM, which is yet another mail merge and extension in Google. And that does not allow us to send any more than 1,500 emails per day. So when we send them, we usually CC the student and the parent. So if I'm sending it to, 600 kids for a grade level, then I can only do one grade level. So that is what Ms. Lovingood was referring to. It has to, like all administrators have to take a grade level so we can send that out. Right now, currently, the students that receive that data are the students who have detentions. So if you haven't received it, kudos to you. Your kids are doing what they're supposed to do. They're in school. They're not tardy. They're not absent. If you're receiving them, then it's been, there's some growth there. So that's what we are, connecting on, calibrating to make sure we get those out to all students. So even if your students do have, attendance that might be at 95%, they might have had a couple days where they weren't there, just so for your awareness. And if it's something that can be excused, then you can get those in to the attendance office so we can get them excused early in the year. We have put in the metric for 90% attendance for dances and events. That went really, really well this year. We're definitely going to continue that. We have, as we just stated earlier, winter formal coming up. I've already met with the attendance team with Ms. Garcia and Ms. Perkins, and we, talked about what that's going to look like for them. So we don't have a lot of last minute, oh no, my kid was here these days, and it's, they're at the winter formal. Dr. Steinmiller was bringing kids up to me with their parents. So just to eliminate all of that, to make sure it's done in a timely manner. And then the third thing, Ms. Levingood also alluded to that I let them know about the other day was the app Talking Points. It's an app. My son's school uses it, not for attendance, but just two-way communication with teachers and parents. But we can also use it for school-wide communication. High schools are using it more for attendance in real time. Now there is, they do not have an agreement with CPS yet to allow them to interface directly with Aspen to pull attendance data directly. So we would have to upload that, but it doesn't take long to do. Couple of schools, we talked about it today in our network meeting, and so they were sharing with me what they're doing with it. They shared last week. I met with them. It is a $3 cost, which is unfortunate. However, we do have some grant money with our SEL, in our SEL funds. I met with Mr. Gobieski and the Talking Points representative 2 or 3 days ago. And what I told them, and they're thinking about now, is I wanted a 2-week trial for the remainder of this year. I want a proration for a second semester and to lock the $3 into next year. To just create consistency. And if you did that, then we would pay the contract for this year and next. So they're thinking about it and seeing what they can do, and they're going to come back with us. Hopefully it's a yes, and we can get this in. Parents don't have to sign up for it. They automatically pull all of the contact information. Vaughn and Uplift use it. One school said they only had 4 parents opt out. The other school said they only had 7, and they said it's a tremendous game changer. Because it allows parents and teachers to communicate via text, which is the medium that most people communicate in and feel comfortable in now. So that is something that hopefully we will have here in the next couple of weeks. And we will use it specifically for attendance notification, but it's not limited to that. And so, so that's what we've been doing to combat our chronic absence, and that's a plan moving forward as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's through our SEL funds for our Director of Climate and Culture, some grant money that he secured. Yeah.
I just have a quick question. So I'm looking at this correctly. I think that 56% of the students after school
Yeah, that's and again that's and this because this includes unexcused so if you again we sadly there is a larger increase of students who are hospitalized. There's things they're included in this too. Right now, for example, a lot of our what I would say is a part of the group that's going to be in our future data. We have a lot of students due to ICE and federal presence are afraid to come to school. They are going to be included in this data right now. We're still working with and supporting those families, but so there are some real indicators of what goes on. Also, the way the schedule or the calendar works, or the accrual of absences work. On our Wednesdays, for example, our students who show up second period, they have half-day attendance, and so enough of those, you're now chronically absent, and so those things do build up. What I'll say is we're making some positive progress. The district and for our network has only been a slight increase actually in chronic absenteeism district-wide. That is also continuing to go up. So it's good to see as a school we independently have gone down. So, yep. Yeah. So to clarify, it's 10% of the so right. I can go back up to the qualifying here. So yeah, it's
Yeah, go back to that last slide.
Oh, it was right here.
Yep.
Yeah, students missing 10% or more of their enrolled days. So a student, for example, that right now is avoiding coming to school due to if we have 180 whatever days and they are already at 10%, there's no change. You're already done. There are students who are already fitting being chronically absent for this criteria. So again, I would like to personally from a district, what I would like to see is maybe a way to differentiate the levels and types of chronic absenteeism. But I think that's a huge ask for the district right now, but it's something that would be helpful in helping us address. We can make some assumptions, but that doesn't help us in addressing some of these needs. But anyway.
I will say that for event purposes, when I pull the absence, that I disaggregate out the excused absences, so they're not lumped in. So if you were excused for an absence for health, mental health, whatever it was, that is pulled out, and so it's only unexcused when we calculate it here in the building.
Yeah, so students who have been hospitalized, for example, prior to the homecoming, and maybe only attended school for 2 to 3 weeks, are still allowed to attend. Right. I do know we have a lot of, so I can also I'm going to go through, but also if you want to take notes. Oh,
you
sorry.
can finish.
Okay.
No,
I just know there's a lot. So.
Well, I guess I was just going to comment on, I'm still back on the app thing that you were talking about, because I also think based on what Ms. Stonewall mentioned, for her group of kids, like she's looking for behavior, attendance, and grades. And I feel like that free option, if we could coordinate with Taft, they send out grades and attendance, probably nothing on behavior, versus if that grant money could be used for something else, if we could accomplish what we want with the Taft email, that would accomplish whatever Ms. Stonewall is trying to do, as well as the attendance stuff. Right.
The difference is I really believe the interface thing through text message will reach far more families than emails do. Emails do hit a lot of our families, but the families that we need to check the emails for those behavior, attendance, and grades, they're not checking emails. And that's something that we definitely know is not happening. They don't check them with regularity, or they don't check them at all. And so a phone everybody has, and so that's just a quicker way of getting that information to them.
Well, and also we talked about fees. We talked about how to try to access it. We know that some people aren't seeing the email reminders at all, or they don't access parent portal. We would be able to directly interface with everybody, and may actually be a benefit for there. Would get increased fee payment.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Might as well try one to see what progress it makes.
All right. For your graduation rate, just because I know we have about, and I just want to be conscious of your time and make sure that we're able, some of these things may actually sync. So some of the questions may be able to support multiple slides as well. For your graduation rate, again, we're seeing an increase. Again, these are some of the interventions and things that we're trying to do. I know that, for example, Ms. Theus has been working with some of the upperclassmen. Our counselors have been pulling students. We are offering credit recovery. Credit recovery is a great opportunity for our students to then, who are off track, to get on track. And we've expanded that to even Saturday school. Yep. 95 people. Get you. Cool. So you can kind of see the shift and where we're going again with trying to increase a graduation rate. Again, you can see the two lowest areas for graduation rate, students with IEPs and our Black and African American students. And so again, we have to think and really prioritize how we're supporting subgroups in a strategic manner. As we look at early college credentials, and this is one that has taken a shift down. And so you see, again, students with IEPs are our lowest Black and African American students earning early college career credentials. This doesn't show the whole story and all the data, but what I do see, the 76% that we receive for early college career credentials, that is the highest Lincoln Park has ever had. So we had hit a very, very high threshold very, very quickly. And so the 69% is actually really, it's really not a negative, but it's not as high as we want it to be, and we know we can do it better. You're actually going to see in some of the following slides the rationale of how we're going to start improving that. So I don't want to belabor this one too much, but we did see that we've had, and I'll show in the next slides, some uptick in advanced placement actually, and students getting scores high in advanced placement. For whatever shifts, we're also seeing some shifts though within IB where we did not necessarily get all of the individual scores that we have had in some areas. That did have an impact compared to the previous year. I don't have that data to present to you about the IB. Not that in a massively negative way. It was consistent of where we have been in the last 3-4 years, which were actually really high. Because we have seen for early college credentials the last 3 to 4 years have been growing year after year after year. And we've kind of just dipped back a little bit further into more of our average of the last 3 to 4 years. So yeah. Yes, there's a possibility of that. And that's why access. Yeah, it's what the students brought up earlier about student voice, about providing opportunities. We have, I actually have the data for you right now. Give me just a second. Where'd it go? We currently have 1,108 students who are signed up to take exams. So just keep that number in mind as we get to another slide. Like I said, let me go to the other slides because I think they'll actually answer some of your questions, especially as it pertains to early college career credentials. But we have seen a slight dip. I'm extremely concerned about the district not paying for some of the exams and giving all students opportunity. Because if you look up here, again, our students who have the lowest percentage, one, our students with IEPs, our English language learners, are Black African American students, but also are economically disadvantaged. I'm very concerned about the district not paying for it. The parents just aren't aware, and that fear of paying for an AP exam, even if they qualify for waivers, they should take it. But the issue is here, that could start dropping backwards just because of fear and anticipation of it. So let me get to the other, yeah. True. It's and it's a mindset, and
Well, and they still have to pass the test.
Sure.
So
Right. That's
so, but here's a positive trend. It's not a positive trend, but it's in spite of the shift of not having the funds coming from the district. These are our trends for students who have participated. One, the total students who are total AP students, the total number of exams taken, and the exam scores of a 3+. So these are three. What you see is the gray is just the number of students who are taking, the exams, then the number of exams. This year we have 1,108 students who are taking the exams. So we aren't that far off from last year in our numbers, and so that's, to me, that is a positive that teachers have been communicating with the students. I do believe that number could be higher, and there is some concern about families and students paying for the exam. But what I wanted to point out is we've had an increase since 2021 of students the amount of exams. We've had a pretty steady pace going from 802, 842 to 1,112 over a several year period. The cool part along with that, we've gone from 307 to 706 over a 5-year period of students getting 3+. one, more offerings. Two, students who take their studies and research, you take an AP exam as a freshman, you become more prepared with that practice year after year. And that's going to be influenced by another slide that I'm going to show you following this. So some of these are kind of connected, but you can see this growth over time, and it's pretty impressive. Correct. It's awesome. I mean, this is a positive, very positive trend when you're not seeing this trend at a lot of schools. And so I'm really excited about this work, but it's hard work to continue doing these types of positive trends. I get so geeked about the slide. Sorry. This is something that is that you don't like. Sorry, I get super excited about a slide. But why I'm so excited about this slide is very often at schools, especially diverse schools like ours, is you don't necessarily see a mirroring of the student body in classes, in the AP and advanced classes, AP specifically. So what you see, we just talked about the impact of our economically disadvantaged students and where their representation. If you look here, this is our representation of low-income student versus non here. It's 40% to 60%, 40% to 60%. The percentage of students who are in AP, 39% and 61. It almost mirrors it exactly. That is awesome. That is just really, because there tends to be a trend of that not looking like that at a lot of schools. Then you go down by race and ethnicity. This is also super awesome. And there have been major shifts over time, and I actually would like to have a data slide in the future to share. But as you see here, this is a breakdown of all our demographics at our school. These are our students at Lincoln Park High School. As you see the shift into AP, you see it's very, very similar. It's not good enough yet. As you see there, we still have not quite the same representation of our Black students. We have 20% of our students and 10% participating. We actually were at a point once in our data where it was about 4 or 5%. So to see these shifts over time is really cool. And again, this is something as a school we should be very proud of. This is the work of our teachers from a freshman year, preparing our students over a 4-year period to be more and more prepared and have access and opportunities. I have a dream that every kid takes a college level class, one way, be it art, this or construction or whatever it may be by the time they graduate, certification. I want everybody to have access to at least one early college career credentials. That's a dream of mine. And I think that'll, again, this is just advanced placement, but I still wanted to share this data. What I could probably do is I was like, there's gotta be a way to get us off here, right? Oh, why have I not done this earlier? I failed epically. So again, this is a super cool slide. This is also a really cool slide. I'm gonna have a lot of cool slides. And so there are about 6 to 7 really cool slides I wanna share with you that I think would be fun to engage with. So these are some of our AP classes. What I want you to see is, and this has shifted. When we first started World History Modern, this is our 9th grade class, it was hitting the 30-something%. Again, we're really fine-tuning, doing things. The students who are taking the classes, these are high percentage of success, where students are getting college credit out of it. This is why I really want students to take the exams. So you see the positive, like 65%, 52, 71, you're all literate, but 77, 65, 70, 39, this is a little bit lower for stats, hard class. Environmental science, computer science, pre-calculus is at 95%. 58 kids and 95%. Man, I want to take pre-calc and get my credit for college and save $3,000 to $5,000. So these are the things that are really absolutely amazing and really great work with an advanced placement. Yeah. Correct. And I think there's some of the questions that and again, this is the data I want to also engage our teachers in so we can have some of these conversations around, this isn't everything. And again, there's some other classes that we want to talk about. This year we didn't offer, you don't see like AP art, but the year before it was in the 90% pass rate too. So there are things we want to really think about that. And I'm going to really look at is like, where are we at with some of these percentages and what can we do to make the shifts? How do we work with the teachers? To make sure that students are experiencing classes where we have high percentages. But I also think it's important for us to look at the national average in some of these areas too. Like where is it at? Like U.S. history is at 65%. Like that is an extremely difficult course. 65% is not the national average.
Can I jump in just very quick?
Yeah.
So like I don't know if this is an answer to what you were asking just now, but like a lot of the classes where you see the lower percentages, those are classes that are sometimes seen as more accessible for students who are just going to try it. So like I'll use like environmental science as an example. Like that's one where like a kid who's going to dip their toe into AP, they're going to take that as opposed to like pre-cal. So that might be why you see that lower percentage.
Good point.
I like the idea of national.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I'm sorry to go back, but do you mind going back to the one with the vertical?
Yeah.
There we go. Were those like years where we went way up in terms of like the number of exams? Like when did the like CPS covering the AP exams? Like does that correlate there too?
I believe we're on like a whole, yeah. So CPS has been covering, I think, everything you're seeing. Since 2020, they've been covering exams.
Okay.
So this, as an LSC and as a school, we really need to pay attention. If we see a significant shift, like I said, right now we have 1,108, so I don't see it like, but over time, what does that look like? Or what if at some point CPS doesn't pay for IB exam? They still have to pay for IB exams.
Because I would be interested to see like, are we seeing as just questions like, are we seeing this increase because of like increased course offerings and rigor and pushing students into the courses? Is there also a correlation between like CPS paying for the exams? Like I'll be interested to see like if we could expand it back 5 years, and then I wish we could like see into the future 5 years. We can't do that, but I'd be really interested to see like what's going to happen with that, as like if there are families who end up making choices.
So I think there's a little bit of, we'll be able to do a little of seeing into the future in some of the slides coming up. We can access that data in the past. And I would actually like to see a good 10-year data. I think because I think what it would show is the 5 years previous to this, when CPS wasn't potentially paying for AP exams, right? What does that look like? Now we have increased our advanced placement offerings too.
Mm-hmm.
So like what you see on the slide I just presented are, so these students right here, like we have 200, we didn't have world history offered. We didn't offer it 9th grade year. So there's 224 students who have now accessed an AP class, 117 who've got college credit, but these 224 have all had that experience, and in research, there's a likelihood that they're going to be more successful. So even if it's not the same cohort, so they're not the same kids, but you do see like 52%, then you see 65%, then you go to AP Gov, where you see 77%. Now, they're not all the same kids because some of the kids go into diploma. Mm-hmm. But what I would even say is you have diploma students who are also in these two cohorts. You have students who are not in diploma going into Gov, and we're at 77%. So as we look at some slides around IB, you can see that more students just have different pathways to start accessing it and also have a series of experience over time, which is really beneficial. So again, the slide, another slide I get super, this is seeing into the future. It's a really crappy slide, and I really apologize for it. I don't know how you're going to see it, but I'll try to describe it for you. So that's why I'm standing. So we're a part of Equal Opportunity Schools, where we're able to kind of look at some data, and they pull some data for us. But that doesn't mean they make great slides. And this probably wasn't meant to be a slide. It's more just data for us to look at. This is last year's enrollment of our non-white students. So these are all we talked about all those demographics earlier. This is the participation in IB and AP together of students who are not ultimately not white. So we had 51% of our students, 526, and this is 11th and 12th grade students. So a quarter. So last year, where we saw our early college career credentials, we had 526 students total in our junior and senior year taking IB or AP. Our current enrollment, as they are enrolled right now, so seeing into the future, we have 809, 78% of our student pop. So we look at that demographic slide, we are now seeing an increase in the amount of our students who are taking AP and IB classes. So the opportunity for our students to get more of these credits is enhancing. I mean, significantly. We're talking about almost 800 kids, or 300 kids more, students who are currently in the classes. So when you look at like this slide, this is a breakdown of some of those groups that we're paying specific attention to. Our Asian population of student, 69 to 94. Our Black population of student, 31, 68 kids. has grown to 50%, 99 students. Our Hispanic Latinx students, 51%, 172 to 78%, 256. Multiracial additional races, 49% to 82, 29 to 53 kids. So we're starting to see that increase of students who are able to access classes, but I think to the point that was brought up, we're also offering some classes that are accessible at different points for different kids. And this is a really cool movement forward to ensure the students have that experience. Even a student taking an AP class their senior year, we talked about pass rates, like environmental science, that pass rate of, I think it was 39%, don't quote me, but 39%. That's every student in that class, I'll just go back to it. Every student in that environmental, all 59 of those kids were engaged in a college level class. So when they go to college, that is their first, that's not their first experience with that type of experience. And there's a ton of research of just having access to an AP exam, the benefit that has for college success. So these are really, really positive things to see that we've gone from, again, 526 kids to 809 junior and senior year of our ultimately subgroup population of students who are not white. And here's just another chart. It's the same data, just in a different format, because I think it's, sometimes people read charts. Well, you can't read the other ones because they're impossible to see. But you can see, again, the breakdown. Again, our black population of students is our lowest, but that's a significant shift. And so, again, it's hard work. It's hard. We have to continue to focus on differentiation, scope and sequence of skills. But this is something we'll continue to grow on. And that's where I anticipate our early college career credentials will continue to rise just on the percentage of students starting to have access to it, that we should have more opportunities and outcomes that go along with that. Let me explain this, because this is the way IB sometimes prints out data. It can be very complicated and printed out. So this is just one slide, so I wanted to show how this is broken down and how this is laid out. We have different subject groups. That's what this column is. Number of candidates are the number of students who took the exam. And then you have the different grades or level of scores going this way. This is the average school. This is the average for Lincoln Park High School. So if you take all these scores, you average them up, that's what our average is. IB is a worldwide program, International Baccalaureate. This is the world average for that content area. As a school, this is our highest grade in that area. And then this is the lowest grade in that area. So just, does that organization make sense? And so you can see these are the variety of scores. We are doing an absolutely fantastic job in a lot of areas. So when you look, an example, and because I have an English teacher here, I'm going to shout out our English department, which is Langham Lit. You can see right here, we had 29 students take the language and literature HL exam, but 3 students passed. 4 is passing for, what I mean by pass, and that's not how IB technically works, but in Illinois, for example, if you get a 4 in the state of Illinois, you get college credit. So all 26 of these students right here can go to University of Illinois in Champaign, and they can get 6 hours of college credit. Free school. 2 classes right there. Every school in the state of Illinois has to give them credit. This is awesome. And so the same thing, you see this with the 89 students, all the 89, all but 4 did not give credit. So this is just showing really the significance of the work of our teachers and our program and what it means to be in an IB school. You can see different areas across the board right here. French, they're rocking. We do have some students who have some independent courses based on their background. I guess one student, self-taught, these are self-taught classes. They still got themselves college credit. You can do that too. So these are some additional options. Again, as we're a part of equal opportunity schools, we may explore like, what are these types of options for independent students to potentially get credit, especially since the district is still paying for the tests. And that may be our alternative to some of the things we're doing. Here's some, this is a different subject group. These are all our languages that you can see across the board. What I also, well, you can see across the board like the level of success that we're having, quite a variety of students. And for the most part, we're hitting on par with some of the worldwide averages. There are areas that we have to reflect on of how we can continue to provide some support. But again, just kind of going through here, again, you can see the highest grades. These are things that I look at and how can we like think about how to support some of these areas a little bit better. Again, with Spanish here, you can see that we're having a lot of positive outcomes. Even some of the highest scores are like the highest that you can get. And you can just see the success across the board for this. Now, standard level doesn't always offer college credit. Higher level does, especially in, this is considered standard, but higher level for sure, you usually get college credit, especially in the state. And again, I'm not talking about how this all correlates to get a diploma, but I'm more of focusing on the data that the district focuses on for early college career credentials and how this has an implication on that and alternative options that we might have in the future. Again, yeah. Yeah, so this, just the highest grade our students received was a 3 and a 2. The average is 4.67. The average worldwide is 5.63. No. I mean, when I think about kind of from a data standpoint, like there are a variety of reasons for different things, but if you're within kind of a point, I would say we're kind of like, maybe certain adjustments we need to make. There are concerns that come up when we are significantly lower than 5.63. But there's also, and when I look right here, we're about 1 point away, a little less than 1 point away, almost hitting the mark right here. What are some shifts maybe we can do to build it? So there's some strategies that we'll engage with. But yeah, a couple of other areas too. I just might want to make sure everybody's able to see this. Business management, again, we have large, and this is, as we talk about some of our accessible classes, I really appreciate, Mr. Kramer, you kind of bringing that up too. Like we're seeing, you can see the number of students who are taking like business management. There are some students taking independent classes for business management. It's aligned with our careers program class. So we have a large number. What? Oh no, so it's the language that it's taught in. It's international baccalaureate. So like this, if we're in Mexico, this would be business management. Well, let's say it in Spanish, but then it would be SL Español. So it's like the language it's taught in. So we have global politics, history. So again, you see some of the classes that we're at. Another area that's just absolutely like awesome that we are also seeing is in our history classes. I mean, we are beating out the world average. This is awesome. So when I bring about the Lang and Lit in our history, I think Ms. Kaler left. I'll give her a shout out too. You guys like these. This is really awesome. This is really awesome. So we are definitely excelling in a lot of areas. And again, going back to the numbers, 70 kids and only 3 students. Not a single, like a 2. Well, 2 had a negative. Yeah. So there's a variety of things that happen in kids' lives. Psychology, all but 2. And so these are things in which we think about. These are some accessible, and students are finding a lot of success. It's pretty awesome. And here's our last, I think this is our last one. And these are some shifts that I will talk about later. We don't have our IB report yet, but we do need to think about from a science. We only offer at this point really like our bio and English. We want to reflect on what are 2 SL levels, which is a more standard level class as they're going through it. Because we're not meeting quite the level we need, but this is the 2 options they have within the diploma program. So we're going to reflect on that as a school. But again, still doing a pretty awesome job. Because you can see across just all the students who are getting, again, independent college credit. Shout out to, our, even an SL. I mean, there's just a lot of really good work going on. Our HL mathematics and analysis and approaches, all but 4 students. I mean, it's just good. Some SL classes, but you don't get as many credits. And some you don't get any at all. But HL, you like, I believe for physics, we don't offer HL physics. I think you get 8 hours of college credit with that HL physics course. So there's some real positive impact for the types of classes students can access. Here's just a couple of some of the smaller ones too that we have as a school. So this would be our music, our theater, and our visual arts. And so again, my focus, again, we want to keep promoting and having more students earning that 4 or more. And then our coordinators work with the overall impact of each individual class as it kind of correlates to that diploma or the careers program certificate. So the coordinators work with that, but I don't have necessarily the data to be able to discuss that. But I want to talk about it from an early college career credential standpoint. College enrollment rate. Again, this was our highest college enrollment rate we've ever had is 89%. Oh, my bad. Thank you. 89%. We dropped down to 86, which is actually extremely high from where we have been. Again, we were just like early college career credentials. We were making progress moving upward. We hit 89, which has been our highest. And we've just seen a slight dip in that going backwards. Again, we'll continue to focus on this. Again, our two lowest groups are Black African American students and our students with IEPs. So we have to dig in and support that work, which you're seeing at the freshman on track level that we talked about earlier today. I am not going to spend much time on these because this is our first year engaging with ACT. There's no trend data to discuss. So I am just going to do a quick highlight on each slide for the mercy of everyone here, but also to show some of the trends of where we're at. Our starting point. ACT for ELA, shout out. 75% of our students are on grade level. Network-wise, 55%. So we're 20% higher than the network. And this is a nice breakdown of, we have of our 17 of our students who are percentage of students who are approaching proficiency levels. And so this is a positive thing, and we'll start reflecting on how can we start moving some of those students who are approaching proficiency to proficiency. Again, we are not going to teach to a test. I do not believe in that, but there are things that we can think about how we're intentionally incorporate specific skills within our learning that we can do. Math, we're at 51%. The network is at 40, so we're significantly higher. And you can see again the breakdown of the proficiency there on the next slide. Science, 68%. The network, 52. Again, you can see kind of the breakdown of the proficiency. And then I'm going to post these slides so that obviously if anybody wants to go into this with further, they can. Our 10th grade, 75. Man, shout out to our ELA. Whoop, whoop. 75, 53 for the network. And you can see that breakdown over time. Math, 51 again. Network, 37. Again, breakdown over time. Science, 63. Network, 49. Breakdown over time. ELA in 9th grade, 75. Man, ELA just keeps rocking and rolling. And then 60 as a network. ELA over time. And then math, 52, 41. So again, ahead of the network. Again, breakdown over time, levels of proficiency. Science, 58, 50. So we're a little bit, and again, this is at 9th grade level. But to be fair and to clarify this data point, most of our incoming 8th grade, like 8th graders, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, the focus on science isn't the same as it is in math and in reading. Those are two areas in which elementary really focus on. The number of students with IEPs who enter our school that do not have any resources or supports in social studies and in science, it's astounding. And so for students to come in, actually be closer at the science level, when you look at the other sides and see the level of proficiency and growth, really is a celebration to the science department for the growth that takes over with really minimal foundation in sciences. And I'm not saying every elementary school is like that, so that's not what I'm saying, but a trend district-wide is there's not a focus on social studies and science in the elementary schools.
So I wrote the network. Is that
So network would be our 30 or 40 schools in our region, in our area. So that's Lane Tech, that's Amundsen, Sen, Mather. Yeah. And again, our performance over time. I just think the science growth, if we compare the years, is really cool for our science department. And again, shouting out all of our departments. I'm not trying to say one or another, but this is a cool growth. It's not where I want it to be, but this is EL progress towards proficiency. We've been very intentional about hiring teachers with ESL endorsements, teachers who are bilingual, making shifts in our programming so that students are going into classes with an ESL or bilingual teacher. So, and this was last year. We've made so much progress this year with additional hiring. I just hired a new PE teacher who will start with us January 6th, who also has his ESL endorsement. So even in PE, we're having ESL endorsement support. And we're also being intentional about hiring more staff that's representational of our student body. That is also something we've been very intentional about. But here you go. We see that we have gone from 16 to 23% proficiency from last year to the next, which is really good. this is something that is a different data point. This is through Cultivate. This is our 2 highest areas, and I want to do this more of a celebration. There's another document with all of the things. Student voice is our highest rated area, and then our second highest is affirming identities, student identities. And as you heard this entire presentation of our focus on all students at our schools, but individually calling out needs and where they are at, I think that is extremely important. You know, and our students bring voice to the work that we need to do. I will say, and our assistant principals aren't here to be able to share this point, this is something that they've been engaged with, but some of our Black students specifically, they don't see teachers who look like them in some of our higher level classes. And that's something that sometimes inhibits students to want to take that because they want to be in front of teachers who look like them. And I respect that. And that's something that we have to be intentional about as a school. To again, as we bring more people in the school, that we have students who are going and teachers going into those spaces that, and again, we're seeing it. It's a work in progress, but it's something I want to call out. I know that because of these 2 things here. Yeah.
Across the board, like this is a general question. So all of these slides show that the Black population, the IEP population are just much lower across the board. So other than like supporting the 9th graders through Ms. Stonewall's efforts, like what's being done to improve all of those numbers across all of these slides?
So there's an intentionality of like the support. It really does start with that freshman, because this is basically my last slide. At the freshman level, once you're off track, you're sort of just keep cycling down. No, I mean, what will happen is the students don't make it past 10th grade. And so by the end of the 10th, like the first semester of 10th, in about 6 weeks total, we will have a number of students who are currently in the 10th grade who only have 2 credits, who will then not be able to graduate from high school. We already know. They will go to alternative school options. And that's not okay. I'm not okay with that. We have to have Ms. Theus has to have, and has had, and I've had, and we're talking to families and saying, there's no chance. And now what we're seeing is fewer of those instances, and we're seeing where students are staying at Lincoln Park over a 4-year period, Black students specifically, longer over a 4-year period. So we don't see an 8% dropout rate that is primarily our Black students. Like we're seeing a shift in that. We've seen that over time too. But we still have a ton of why you also see IEP and our Black students as the 2 lowest. In our program, IEP we have a high overrepresentation, not say over, but we have a high representation of Black students with IEPs compared to their peers. And that's also so there's 2 things that kind of go hand in hand to a point, and I'm not trying to, that's overgeneralization, but you see that too. Yes, yeah. But in this data, it is purely IEP. But this is a cool, like hearing this from our students is great. And it also happened because our teachers. You see that here? These are just the last little things I want to end to be very quick. Like celebration, this is part of our data points. This is the lived experience of our students. We have back to school bashes that welcome our students. Let's get a family show up across the board. This was our opening PD with our teacher, where teachers show up engaging in a lot of the work leading up to the evaluation, but our teachers coming together, dedicated to support our students. We had our family engagement night, and a trend across the board with our family engagement night. It was predominantly our Latinx and Black families, and trying to build and continue to build. And again, Ms. Theus, Ms. Quadri, Ms. Stonewall are really leading some amazing initiatives about building community and having leaders who look like our parents and our students. Process. Othello, I thought it was super fun. Mr. Stryker did an awesome job with Othello. But this is the kind of look. This is one of your Lang Lit class, your English classes, and the production they put on. It was so cool. Anyway, this is the type of experiences that our students are having in the classroom. It is not just reading Othello and taking a test. It is really having a cool experience that way. Chess team first place. That's keeps happening at our school. Our math team first place. Our athletic events, our Midday Madness with our girls and boys teams, and the things that they're doing, and the people that are showing up. Our swim team and their senior nights that our athletic programs are having across the board. Our Club of Palooza that went down our entire mall with all these opportunities. I will talk more about clubs in the future, but I do have a goal that want to start shifting to is that I do want every student at our school to have an extracurricular option. Athletics, club, something that one, it helps them toward their application to college, but also connectedness. And that's something I'll talk about in the future. Again, you can see more Clubapalooza, engagement opportunities. Our flag football team is in its second year and rocked and went to playoffs. Our open house in October, we had 1,000, plus 1,600 or so families, like people showing up. Just a cool event. Again, our choir at open house. So it's not just all the data. It's also the service of students. Over the past year, Save the School. So that is all for the state of the school. Any questions?
I have a quick question. Yeah. So all those charts you were showing that showed like where we are and then where we were with the network. We have it broken down like where it's CPS as a whole, or where we are I guess nationally.
I'm looking to. Yeah, well, for some of the data points like you're talking, like let me.
I'm just trying to figure out where we are like nationally.
I will say our network. So if we did a breakdown from school, network, district, nationally, our network as a whole tends to trend higher than some of our other networks. There's 4 networks. Tends to be a high trend, positive trending in the data. Nationally, let me look up and see what we can do. That from a district, we don't really engage that way. I know I can look up district level and see where we're at. I'll say across the board, I would see the district get lower. So again, higher there.
If you look at like the ISB report card, you can see district. Yeah.
That is the state of the school. I appreciate your time.
Good evening. I'm, for those of you who might not know me, I'm the, okay. I am the IB diploma coordinator. And, as you can see, the students in the diploma program, are doing nicely. Just for everybody to know, in the diploma program, the student needs, in order to get the diploma, the student needs to take 6 IB classes, 3 or 4 at the higher level, 3 or 2 at the standard level, complete basically a course in theory of knowledge, write an extended essay, and do CAS, which is creativity, action, and service. In our other program, that is a program not just taking single classes, is the career-related program. And in that, the requirements are that the student has to take a course that spreads over 2 years, and then he has to take 1 additional course. This is an IB course. Now, obviously, to graduate, they have to take others, but the focus for the career-related students would be on their career. And they also have to do a course that's a little bit like the course theory of knowledge. It kind of pulls the whole experience together. They need to have an average of a 3 in each of their subjects because, again, the focus is supposed to be on their careers, whether it is doing a sports exercise kind of thing or vocal music, like music or visual arts or something like that, or JROTC. So those are the criteria. But everybody, if they're taking an IB exam, whether you're a career student, if you're a course student, or you're a diploma student, you're taking the same exam. It's basically all of that is kind of the same. But just for you to know a little bit about the subjects last year, about our pass rate for the exams, that means with all kinds of things considered, there were basically there were about 1,200 assessments done and the students scored very well on them, and about over 90% of the students in the diploma program earned at least passing grades in at least three of, earns 4 or higher in at least 3 of those subjects. So if you can compare this with AP, where they're talking about individual pass rates of the different subjects, within the diploma program, it's not just one subject they're taking, but when they go to college, they're getting credit and recognition based on individual scores. Generally speaking, almost no college gives them credit for the diploma program itself. Now, if we do have a number of students who go to other countries. So for example, students who would be going to a place like McGill in Canada, or they'd be going someplace in Europe or South America or wherever they're going. They have to have a certain score with certain subjects in order to major in, if you're going into economics, or if you're going to go into history, or if you want to go into the sciences or major in chemistry, you have to have certain courses with certain scores. So it's a little bit more targeted than anything would be. And again, to kind of think about it, generally speaking, in other countries of the world, like for example in the UK, your first degree after post-secondary, or whatever they call it a little differently than we do, is a 3-year kind of thing. So what kids are doing in freshman year in college in the US is what students would be considered normally doing in their last year of high school, whether they're in France or in England. And that's kind of where the IB itself ended up coming from. Okay. Anyway.
How many kids earned the diploma last year out of all the kids that were
Basically, how many of them earned? 63 out of 90. So earned the full diploma. So that we basically have had since the beginning, it's about an 80% pass rate for the diploma. And that's considered very high. If you Google the US for pass rates on the diploma, it's usually about 40%, 43% across. Now that's across the US. But then during COVID, things kind of, as it were, basically fell apart. So, but then kind of building the thing back up. So, we're pleased that it's basically is there. It's 70%. So that meant basically 63 students out of the 90 students who took the diploma ended up getting it. Who did the full diploma. Now that's not counting juniors or anyone else, okay?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Way to go. Just here to celebrate. Oh, thanks. Yeah.
I didn't get to say anything. But the parking lot, first of all, God bless you for doing with all that. The second thing is, I would strongly advise the kids be 12 to 2.